1 in 9 women will get breast cancer at some point during their life. Slightly down from the last couple of years, about 180,000 women will get breast cancer in the United States this year. In addition to those, about 20% of them will end up dying from their disease. That's unbelievable numbers. When one person in the family gets breast cancer, everybody else is worried about getting it. It affects everybody, and their children, and their sisters, and their brothers' children, and so on. So it has a huge effect on the person and also on the entire family. Most breast cancers, we don't know why they get it. That's about 90% of them. It's due to environment and probably some genetics. You know, we live near the airport, it must be from that. It must be due to something in the water, the electrical lines, our diet, too much fat, you know, not enough exercise, and so on. And that's 90% of it. 10%, or a little bit less than that, is just directly passed down from generation to generation, a setup for those patients to get cancer.
November of 2002, I found a lump with a breast self-exam, and the next week I had a mammogram and a sonogram, and then I guess it was about 2 weeks after that I had the biopsy and was diagnosed with breast cancer. It was quite early, and I had no node involvement, so, you know, it was good news. After the initial bad news, the rest was pretty good news. After that, I figured, you know, that was it for my chemo experience. But we caught it early. We did everything that we could do, and I was just about at my 5-year, you know, the kind of magical 5-year point that they consider a cure if the cancer doesn't come back. And January of 2008, they found a tumor in my liver, and a liver biopsy confirmed that it was a metastasis or a spread from the original breast cancer. So that spot was sitting on my liver for 5 years, just lying dormant until something turned it on again. And I'm hoping that someday somebody finds why these things turn on and off, because that will be very important in finding a cure.
And that's really what the study of oncology is about. How do different cancers act? And when you say breast cancers, there are many, many, many different breast cancers. In fact, the breast cancer that your aunt had one day, later on turned into a different breast cancer. Not by name, but the cells keep changing. So it could be the treatment that started was very much working very nicely, was very much appropriate, but as the cancer changed and moved to a different place, there's a whole different set of circumstances. And that's the big trouble with cancer, is it's not just straightforward, this is what it is, and this is what it's going to be. They act in different ways. My expertise is looking for these families. Looking for families that pass down a broken gene, a gene mutation from generation to generation. And we've had a test available to figure out who are these people and help them before they get into trouble, and help their kids and their siblings and so on.
My youngest sister was diagnosed, I guess it was about maybe 7 years ago. And it's just not something that you want to hear about. You know, it's an older sister you don't want to hear about, but a younger sister definitely not. So it was very upsetting. And I figured I had to do something. So I had been wanting to do a walk, and this just pushed me over the edge. It's just like, you got to do something. I just can't sit home and go on my merry way with my merry life and have my sister struggling on the West Coast and me do nothing. So I put on my sneakers, got on the computer, signed up, and I've been walking ever since. Well, the walk that I do is the 2-day AVON walk. It's 39 miles over 2 days. You do 26 the first day and 13 the second. You raise a minimum of $1,800 to do the walk. We usually raise a lot more. And then you start your first day. You start walking at 6:45 in the morning, 6:30, and they let you walk for 12 hours. A lot of men finish a lot earlier.
There are foundations particular to Long Island, like Friends for Life Foundation, that help people with breast cancer and their families too. As I mentioned before, this is a family thing, it's not just an individual thing. We have to look at the children, we have to look at the grandparents. You know, they take part in this. Parent definitely hurts when their child has breast cancer. Depending on the patient and their needs, thank God we have loads and loads of resources.
When I was first diagnosed, I signed up to be a volunteer with their Reach to Recovery program, and that's a program that the American Cancer Society promotes, where newly diagnosed women can talk to somebody who have been there. You really need to talk to somebody who has been in your situation, because nobody really can understand what it's like to hear those words, "you have breast cancer," like another woman who has heard those words.
We've made living with cancer better. We've changed the whole attitude to having cancer is very different now than when I started. Okay, it's not the big C anymore. Right? Your parents will know what the big C is. We're going to grow up different. We look as cancer as something that we deal with. If we catch it early, survivable, live a long, long time, live an active life. Right? You don't remember the time where you had a big C, you cashed it in, that was the end. And it took some very courageous people in breast cancer and outside of breast cancer, other cancers, to change that attitude.
The diagnosis of getting breast cancer, or getting cancer as a whole, is not as taboo now as it used to be in the past. If somebody got a diagnosis of cancer, they went into bed and they died in 6 months. Now they want to fight, and it's a much easier I don't want to say easier diagnosis to take, but there are treatments for it. Whereas years ago, it was like you had breast cancer and you were going to die. There was nothing you could do about it. And now we have more therapies and more things that you can do, so people are more open, which is another reason why people are they're researching it more.
You know what you do when you get diagnosed with cancer? You go on vacation. You're alive. You keep living. Okay, it used to be something different. You diagnosed with cancer and it was the end. Okay, so you'll hear people now all the time describe their cancer as their beginning, not as their end.
Having breast cancer in my case, has really, you have to look at the positive side of things, and it has really taught me how to live life. I'm a little more adventurous. I appreciate things a little more, maybe. I take opportunities that come up rather than say, "Oh, no, I don't really want to do that." I got my motorcycle license. I've done a lot more things and become a lot more independent and a lot more adventurous, and I just look for things now, to kind of do that I have never done before. It's funny, but cancer has enriched my life.
If you have breast cancer in the family, less than 50 years old, if you have ovarian cancer in your family at any age, tell your doctor what's going on, and that might actually save the whole family. So I have that website, learnaboutHBOC.com. Has all the information on it, has all the resources. Kick the tires, look around. If it applies to you, follow up. Mostly, and what I want you to do is if it applies to your friends, tell them. Just like I told you. Be educated, and then the patients do much better.
Having this diagnosis from Janet it's made me realize that I have to take better care of myself. So once I decided to do the walk, I've been exercising, which I didn't really do. I mean, I'm not in horrible shape, but as the years went by, things happen. And 3 years ago, I said, this isn't going to happen, and I started my workouts, I started walking, and I feel so much better. I look much better, and it makes you think about things differently. But yes, it's good exercise. Keep walking.